Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I'm going to review the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray Steelbook edition of the Superman 5-film collection. It's here, the Superman 5-movie collection on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, released by Warner Brothers. It can be found as a standard edition available at your local and online retailers, as well as a Steelbook set only available at Amazon and DC Store. Now, the Superman movies were, for me, and I imagine many of you, a big part of our childhood. I mean, Superman the movie is as iconic as it gets. It's probably one of the more defining superhero films out there. I've always loved Superman 2, both versions that have been available. Superman 3 is a blend of comedy, adventure, and sometimes nightmare fuel. And Superman 4, The Quest for Peace is, well, that was a movie. Christopher Reeve, and no disrespect to any of the actors that have played the Man of Steel, is the only one, in my opinion, that has perfectly balanced both Superman and Clark Kent. He made it look so effortless, and it's just one of those roles that defines an actor. I often wonder if what happened to Christopher Reeve had never happened, would we have seen him suit up as Superman again, either in a Kingdom Come adaptation or even in the upcoming Flashpoint movie with Michael Keaton as Batman again. Oh, could you imagine seeing those two on screen together? It's just one of those that it's never going to happen, obviously, but you can't help but wonder about the possibilities. I've seen these films so many times, I've honestly lost count. Each of these movies brings something to the table. Yes, even Superman 4 has its moments here and there. But really, these movies belong in my own personal pantheon of films that have influenced me, and I continue to go back to them quite often. So definitely check them out if you've never seen them. Alright, we're going to talk about the picture quality and the audio in just a moment. But first, let's do a quick unboxing of the Steelbook set. Okay, we have the Steelbook edition of the Superman 5-film collection. This is a similar casing that they've used in multiple Steelbook collections in the past. So I like it. It definitely is a bit of a shelf hog, but I think it's got some nice detail to it. And then we have the 4/5 movies, and then we have a bonus which will crack all these open in just a few moments. But yeah, I think this looks good. First up, we have Superman the movie. We all are very familiar with the artwork here. I think it looks great, and they all have, the Steelbooks have a nice shine to them. Back. And none of these have artwork on the disc, so it's just like a little image there, and then the red and blue. We have both Superman 2 and Superman 2, the Donner cuts in the same case. If you flip it over, there you go. So yeah, I think really nice. And then we do have so Blu-ray and 4K for each. And original artwork for Superman 3. It's it's always been a memorable image to me, but it's fine. And then you have the back. And interior, a little bit of artwork for Gus, and then the same red and blue discs. And now we have Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, artwork there. Interior, Lex Luthor. And lastly, a bonus case for just some supplements. We all know the iconic imagery here, so I mean, I really like to have it in Steelbook form. It's really cool. And then interior, we have a Superman 78 comic book. And then we also have another booklet. Got some pictures in it. And the Phantom Zone, little lenticular kind of thing. And a certificate of authenticity. So I got number 3058 of 13,525. So this is a very limited set. And then the interior case. So yeah, I think it looks really good. Now let's talk about the picture quality and the audio. All four movies, plus the Donner cut, which is considered its own film, and rightfully so, has a 2:3:9:1 aspect ratio with native 4K resolution and Superman the movie was graded with both HDR10 and Dolby Vision. The following sequels only support HDR10. Beginning with Superman the movie, unfortunately, the rumored remastering of the original film was not included for this new collection. Essentially, this is the exact same picture as the standalone 4K release in 2018. I won't go too much into detail about this film's picture quality. I'd wager a good majority of you watching already own that version, so you know what to expect. I will say, however, it's admittedly disappointing that this is the case, as despite the issues I'll speak on later, a new upgrade of Superman the movie would have made this a must-have in the collection. Of all the films in this set, the original movie was literally a phoned-in effort. Moving on to the theatrical edition of Superman 2, generally speaking, the transfer does look pretty clean with good grain structure. It does fluctuate on occasion, but to be fair, most of the films in this collection have this happen during special effects heavy scenes. Details do come out more here than on the old Blu-ray's 1080p image, which do offer some general improvements. With those improvements come the inevitable standoutish nature of some of the film's special effects, which don't quite hold up to the 4K scrutiny. The HDR grading can be a little hit or miss. I wouldn't say the color space is dialed in to perfection. At times, the palette can run a tad bit on the warmer side, especially in regards to skin tones. At times, Superman looks almost bronzed and other characters can appear red. Giving credit to the original Superman movie on 4K, the HDR grading with Dolby Vision looked more refined when doing a direct comparison. Black levels look pretty nice and I couldn't spot any issues in this area. As for the Superman 2 Donner cut, even with some of the test footage used, I feel the 4K transfer is done extremely well. It's not perfect, but given the history and what it took to get this version of the film at all, it's more than passable. Image clarity is very noticeable. At times, it looks almost as if it could have been filmed recently. As such, details are just as pronounced on the Donner cut. Some low-res footage can pull you out though, such as when Lex Luthor is escaping via the hot air balloon at night. It's not ideal, but there it is. The color space can look a little wonky at times, though HDR does a pretty okay job with what it has to work with. Between the two cuts, the grading is very similar. Free from the restraints of the original two films and the drama there, Superman 3 is free to stand on its own, for better or for worse. To my eyes, this is one of the more obvious visual upgrades from the old, tired Blu-ray. Image-wise, it looks pretty clean. Film grain, once again, is a bit heavier during some effects-heavy sequences. The color space is beautifully lush throughout most of the film, which is firmly backed by HDR. Reds, greens, blues all have appreciable gains and stay firmly in their lane. Skin tones have a warmth to them and whites often look stable. Textures are noticeably improved, once again practical scenes benefiting the most. Special effects and optical shots do have a little bit of a dated look, and they continue to show their shortcomings, especially with the 4K image. And finally, with Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, this being the newest film of the original Superman movies, it's arguably the least loved among them. It would be easy for this to just be a phoned-in 4K upgrade. Despite my issues with the movie itself, I'm glad it was shown just a little bit of respect with the new 4K image. Like the other films, the picture does appear to be fairly clean for most source-related issues. Grain fluctuates, as does the other films, as I mentioned earlier, so it's no surprise there. HDR gives the palette a bold look with visual pops every so on. Both Superman and Nuclear Man, for example, are visually striking outfit-wise. The former's power set also offers some flair here. Black levels are presented well throughout the movie. Textures do get a nice uptick, but those special effects shots take a hit detail-wise. To be fair, the composite effects in this film have always looked a little bit on the cheap side, and on 4K, even more so. The Superman 5 movie collection on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, each film supports a Dolby Atmos audio mix. Now, the original Superman movie supported Dolby Atmos on the 2018 4K disc, and that's the exact same track here. But I will say though, that track has a little bit of a history of controversy attached to it. It's also a little bit puzzling that the fan favorite Dolby Digital 5.1 track from that movie was omitted for this new 4K disc. So while everything else is pretty much the exact same, at least when it comes to picture quality, they went and actively deleted a Dolby Digital 5.1 and simply added a 2.0 stereo. I'm not quite sure what the decision process was here, but it looks like similar results were across the board for the other sequels. Just like the picture, I won't go too much into Superman the movie's Atmos, as it's essentially the same track as before on the single release. That includes the controversial altered audio cues that were part of the extended cut, And in my opinion, if you really wanted to get people to invest in this and be excited about the movie, I would have given the Atmos track a little bit more of a change up so it included the original theatrical audio cues. It would have made fans already hesitant about picking this one up think a little bit harder about the purchase. As for Superman 2's theatrical and Donner cut, both versions offer some fairly dynamic audio cues, but unlike the picture where I found differences to be minimal, the clear winner goes to the Donner cut. Quite simply, the track has presence. The assault on the White House had some serious heft as explosions rocked the room, and surround activity was quite lively. The theatrical was fairly energetic as well, but it lacks some overall oomph. I have to admit, Superman 3's Atmos is quite fun. Longtime fans will immediately notice how spacious it is, with some great audio cues and the additional speaker real estate. Scenes involving flight, the Superman vs. Clark fight, and the climax really have some good showcase moments. The low end rocks when it's called for, and it's never shy. Superman 4's Atmos, much like Part 3, is an absolute audio upgrade. The movie employs some entertaining audio for sure, which allow for more of an immersive experience. After all these years, the new track was pretty refreshing to my ears at least. Despite some dated sound effects, I'd go so far as to say it's a night and day difference over the old stereo track from the previous Blu Ray edition. For the picture quality, I'm going to give the Superman 5 movie collection on 4K Ultra HD Blu Ray an average score of an A-. Is this the definitive 4K transfer we've all been waiting for of these films? Honestly, no. It does arguably offer some much needed improvements over the standard Blu Ray editions, but you can't help but notice some of the cracks that show. Barring a full-blown rebuilt from the ground up edition of all these movies, I'm still generally pleased with this 4K set. For the audio mix, I'm going to give this an average score of a B+. Upgraded Atmos all around as each film has noticeable improvements on their 4K incarnations. The lack of previously available audio tracks, however, may be a deal breaker for some fans. Audio-wise, this feels like a rob Peter to pay Paul kind of situation. So that is my review of the Superman 5 movie collection on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. If you're interested in picking up a copy for yourself, I will leave an Amazon link in the comments section below. If you use it, it really helps out the channel. But if you have the set already, let's talk about it. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.